I got a like. It doesn't even show that anyone's here, but I got a like. Let me live chat. I know it's going to take a minute for people to get back on. If you're watching this, not live, we've had some technical difficulties and we've had to restart it. MB Trikes is here. What's up? Curdy's back. How we sounding, Curdy? Better than before? I've switched phones. Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm good. Better. Okay. Thanks, guys, for for bearing with me. Okay. So I'm on my phone. I have this other phone that I record with and do other things with. I'm really clear. Good. But I knew I was going to send a practice live with Travis beforehand, so I was using this phone for that and shouldn't have done that. Fingers crossed. If it was on his end and it's coming through my phone, I guess maybe that could be the problem. But look at all you guys. Thanks, guys. Paul Kaufman's back. The picture's better too. Good. PJ Hart. PJ, I don't like that question. I record with my phone. I edit videos with that phone. I'm louder now. Okay. Well, good. 37 of you here. 9 likes. Be sure to hit the like button. My wife will be doing that in the comments. West Michigan Motorsports is here. Nick, you were sharing with me those fenders. The front fender, like on the pink Palomino, I had to drill through that lower plate. Travis is texting me. Okay. Ashley's coming down, I guess. I did have to drill through the top plate to mount that front fender on the pink Palomino. Oh, I missed comments here. The video on this phone is so much better. What's funny is, if you're one of my insiders, you've noticed that sometimes when I record an insider video with this phone, I'm like bleached out. I got to figure out the color because I don't like the color is better. Okay, you found the hardware. Good. So if you're new to this format, which seems like most of you guys are veterans, you'll know we'll wait till the end of the main part of the interview for questions. So if you have questions, just hold them. You guys all know that because you're veterans, but inevitably somebody like Chris Verdmonsky is going to come in and ask questions of things we've already talked about. So just hold them till the end. If you're joining late, you probably missed some stuff, but you haven't missed anything yet. The IT girl is coming down to D&A Restorations, but she must be there because here's Travis, and let's go. They're telling me I sound and look better.
Well, you definitely look good. I mean, I don't know what to say about that. How about now?
You sound really good on my end.
Yeah, you're crystal clear now. Maybe we just had a bad connection.
Could be. Anybody? Comments? Oh, so much better. Yes. Okay. Okay, good. We're off to the races.
All right.
Shoo! We had to fight for this one, which tells me
you, best 3 minutes of your life.
It's going to be a good one. Yeah. You did say that. Well, welcome.
You're not moving around anymore. You're not choppy. You're loud and clear on my too. So I heard the echo earlier. I don't hear it anymore either.
Fantastic.
So
well, good. So I start everything. I have a small amount of housekeeping now that we're off to the races. So you, sir, have been nominated Hoarder of the Week from the crazy cats over at Honda Hoarders Facebook group. We did this way back when, and we brought it back. And I forget, are you number 16 or 15 or 17, somewhere in there?
Not too sure.
I did some math. You represent the 13th state that we've had Hoarders of the Week from.
Nice.
We've had New York, Pennsylvania, Florida, Illinois, Massachusetts, Georgia, Maine, Ohio, Wisconsin, Virginia, Connecticut, Michigan, and now Louisiana down in the bayou.
Yep, they're covering some geography with that one.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to get a map and I'll color in the
Yeah,
states as we.
like you see at the old restaurants with a pinpoint on the wall. You can
Yep.
pinpoint the state.
So I guess that's
Hey,
that. But you've
yeah, my wife was coming to drop earbuds. I gave her the thumbs up that we're good now.
awesome. Awesome. Hi, Ashley.
She's waving from the parking lot already.
So
So
everyone was concerned about being able to understand you, but when she commented, I was like, she's the one that's hard to understand.
I keep telling her that she don't hear it. I,
Here.
she's way more Cajun than me. And you
Yeah.
get 2 or 3 beers in her, she turns into Bobby Boucher's sister 100%.
Are you from Louisiana originally?
Yep. Born
Yeah.
and raised. I live 5 minutes from where I grew up my whole life.
Yeah. Super. Uh and you're well, we're getting ahead of things. Full name, sir, for the record.
Travis John Gisclair.
Travis Gisclair. So some people don't know how to say it. Gisclair.
Gisclair. Pronounced with a J, spelled with a G. It's pretty much my whole life people been calling me Gisclair or
Yeah.
Gisclair, or it's a pretty small name down here even, so it's a
Yeah.
tough.
Or T Jizzy.
Yep, T Jizzy, my
Yeah.
favorite name ever.
uh do you care to share your age with the group?
I am 42.
42. Early 40s. Location, we've talked about that, Louisiana. So do we want to be more specific?
I grew up in a little town called La Rose, and I moved all the way 3 minutes south to a town called Cutoff, and that's where my business is at. My home's literally a 2 minute drive from here when the bridge isn't broken like it is right now. So
Mhm.
really short commute. I could almost see my shop from my house.
Oh, good.
Small, so it's not very spread out.
Okay. What do you do for work?
I get to play with people's toys, break
Yeah.
stuff, make ugly things pretty again.
Mhm. Well, since we're here, let's talk about it. You run D&A Restorations.
Yep.
You're the salesman in chief of Serwa Tires and
Yep.
associated products. Is that your official title, or did I just make that up?
No, that sounds good. I guess
Yeah.
I'd be a salesman. We don't have others, so I guess that would be me. I am partners with Matt. I am a small percentage owner of Serwa Tires, so that's kind of cool. Obviously, majority owner of D&A Restorations. This was
Hmm.
I grew it. I raised it, so this one's all me. But Serwa Tires, we grew together and got a partnership in, and that one's growing quickly as well.
Yeah. When did you start D&A?
So I just made in March of 2016, I was laid off from my previous job, and I did about a 6 month unofficial test run, and then got really busy really fast. And in September of 16, I made it DNA and LLC in an official name.
Hmm. What does D&A stand for?
My kids' names, Destin
Okay.
and Avery.
Super. So 2016. Before this, what were you doing for work?
I was an operations manager. I managed offshore vessels. I call them boats. You guys that aren't around the water would probably call them ships because they're 300-foot vessels, up to 50 to $100 million a piece, 20 to 30 people on board. So basically a ship manager. I had a
Hmm.
couple of those. I'd manage the day-to-day ongoing, anything on and off, personnel, payroll, repairs, Coast Guard inspections, things like that. So
Hmm.
totally left field from what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So how did you was that a passion of yours, or what got you into what you're doing now?
Basically, I grew up on a 250 SX as a kid, and I run that thing through the mud. Had it for probably 4 years of my childhood. Fell in love with it. Everybody in the neighborhood had a three-wheeler. And I got to the point I broke it so much, my dad's like, "Yeah, you want to ride it? You got to learn how to fix it." So I did. And, beg borrowing steel parts from the neighborhood and other friends. And that became a passion. Then later on, I got into quads, then back to three wheelers. And while I was doing the ship manager, I was in the office a lot. I'd get home, I'd be bored from sitting down all day. So I'd get on Marketplace and Craigslist and buy things, fix them, and use those to pay for my truck hobby. And when I got laid off, I told my wife, I said, if I could make, let's say, 40, $50,000 a year tinkering with these things, I'm not going back to work. And needless to say, we became pretty successful pretty quick.
Mhm.
Um, my neighbor of 16 years got laid off 2 weeks after me after being in the oil field for 19 years. So he became my lead runner at the time. He'd pick up and deliver while I was ranching. My best man and best friend from life. 6 months later, he came to a Christmas party and he told me he had lost his job. He was going to put some applications. I told him, I said, "Man, while you applying, come work with me for a little while, and I'll get you some money in your pocket while you're waiting on a new career." And he's still here to this day as my lead mechanic. So it worked out really well that I got to employ some great people.
Awesome. That's good. That's making lemonade out of lemons for sure.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense. So you were doing it a little bit before you got laid off, so it was a
Yeah.
natural sort of thing. And okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I was just tinkering. I'd do 2 or 3 bikes a month, buy them, clean carbs, sell them, rebuild differentials, rebuild engines. Mostly quads. I got into the trike thing literally after I got laid off. We could go into that a little more later, but I basically got tied up with Jason Wells. I got tied up with Binky, and those two pretty much jump started my actual D&A restorations, the
Yeah,
restoration part of D&A restorations.
yeah, that's great. So two or three a month when you got started. How many machines do you go through your shop on a monthly basis now, roughly?
Oh God, 40ish, give or take.
Yeah,
But you gotta understand, I'm about a 60% restoration, 40% full time repair shop for the local
yeah,
customer. So that's including all the numbers. Full restorations, we could do about four a month. We do about probably 4 to 5 partial restorations. And I mean, my guys are constantly restoring tanks, fenders, engine builds. I mean, we do a plethora of stuff, but complete bikes, it's not quite as deep as you imagine. But
hmm
my repair side turns probably, give or take 3 bikes a day, 2 bikes a day,
Wow,
just average repairs.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Good for you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll come back to more of that. That was just a teaser to wet everybody's whistle.
Sounds
Um,
good.
Relationship status, newlywed.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Just married my wife. We just got married 23 years ago, I think it is now. So,
amazing. You just had an anniversary, right?
yeah, in March.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Goes by fast. So 23 years. So you were 19?
I was 20 when we got married, and she was 19.
Wow.
Well, high
Good
school
for you.
sports, and I knew I wasn't letting her get away.
Yep. Two kids?
Yep.
Awesome. So I know, you said this when you were elected, we'll say. You're not a hoarder. Do you
Correct.
own any Hondas right now?
I do. I will show off my number one on the wall hanging back there, my little blue 70.
Yeah.
And I recently acquired a blue 110 Christmas special from the
Yeah.
Scott Curry collection. I fell in love with it, a little mint condition bike. I think you've seen the one with the racks,
Yeah.
Speedo. I ended up getting that one and I brought it home.
That's super.
So that's my
Cool.
whole collection. And I own
And
an
that's
old blue Honda 300 4 tracks out back that we use as our tow truck.
so all your Hondas are blue.
Yep.
Perfect. I love it. Um, but you've had Hondas over the years. You grew up on a 250 SX.
Yep.
What are some of the ones you've had maybe that
Oh my
you've
God.
enjoyed?
I've started on a 110. I had a 1982 110, same year as my birth year. And
Yeah.
I probably had that one for 3 years, but the memories that I had came from the 250 SX. The 110 was cool. You cruise around, they're slow, but it was pretty bulletproof. I remember learning to do my first donuts and literally did it until I think I burnt the engine up, then added more oil and then went at it again the next
Yeah.
day. Uh, so I had that. I had the 250 SX. Then I went through a bunch of quads. I mean, I've had lots of Banshees, Blasters. I've never really had a Honda 250R liquid cooled until
Mhm.
I started D&A Restorations. I've never even sat on one until I started that. I mean, I've had all kind of miscellaneous makes and models for short term. I get bored
Mhm.
very easily, so if something makes it 2 months with me, it did good. So um,
Well, good.
I was a Banshee guy, believe it or not. I hate to say that because I mean it's Honda Hoarders, but
Yeah.
I was a Banshee guy for about 10 years into my early marriage. I had a new Banshee every 6 months,
Oh,
and I
wow.
really enjoyed those. Then
Yeah.
kind of got out of it. Then you know got back into it here and there.
Mhm.
But I've owned probably every make and model that you can imagine temporarily.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So, I mean, I respect the Banshees. I know they're going for a lot of money. They're obviously the biggest displacement of their era,
Yeah,
especially two-stroke.
just that sound.
Uh,
Something about the Banshee sounds just hard to beat.
yeah, that's cool. I can respect that. Trying not to get caught up in the comments. I don't know if you've got the live comments turned on,
Yeah,
but I see them coming in. But
yeah.
okay, so we talked about Hondas you owned and over the years. Have you sold any that you regret?
Uh, I mean, obviously, I would love to find my original 250 SX and do a full restoration just for nostalgia,
Yeah,
but don't regret it because I literally used it and abused it.
yeah,
Uh, I've had some really nice 86 250 SXs that were mint that I probably should have held on to one of those because that's like my all time favorite.
hmm,
Uh, I had an 85 growing up, but I always loved the white tank and the blue decals on 86.
hmm,
I don't really regret them because I mean, like I said, I get to see so many on a daily basis. It's hard to keep that level to what I
yeah,
see. Lately, you know.
yeah. They said somebody's breaking up. We're gonna keep moving.
Okay.
How about buying one? Have you bought one that you've regretted?
Uh, no, not really,
No.
because
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it if I didn't like it at some point.
So when I first became aware of you, I think you had an 86 SX. Did you've had
Probably.
one? Yeah,
Prob-
within the last few five,
I've had
six, 7 years.
probably had 4 or 5 of them since I've started DNA.
Yeah. And Jason Wells is looking for a nice 87.
We found him one. He's
Okay.
still for a minty one, but I have one here. We're gonna clean up for him and make it a nice one.
Okay. So if somebody in the comments has a nice 87 250 SX, reach
Yep.
out to Travis. Real nice. Uh,
I see
if
Al cleaning up the comments, keeping them going. She's doing
yeah,
a good job.
yep, she and Matt from Garage MC, they're my bouncers. So,
Good.
and it's funny they come in. So one time Miles Serwa got bounced, and I said, "No, I think that was when Matt's interview was. I think you just kicked out his son."
That's
But
funny.
the they come in pockets.
Yeah,
The trolls. So
gotcha.
let's see. If money wasn't an issue, and you could just do your dream build, what would you build?
That's a really tough one. I would probably do a full custom 86, like a short course ATC 250R.
Hmm.
If I do a quad, it would be an 89 TRX.
Yep.
But if stock, it would be like fully built stock frame, but nice suspension, fully built, big engine, just mildly custom.
Hmm. Why do 89 TRX 250R fenders discolor and crack like that?
I wish I could tell you because they bleed through at the tank area too, where the rubber lines the tank. They'll
Yeah.
bleed through brown there too. I don't know. They changed something from 87, the white fenders, to 89. And I don't know if they went with a different blend or a cheaper plastic, but I see it all the time here too.
Yeah.
I wish
Are 80, are 87, 86, 87 rears the same as
no,
89 rears? No.
they are different. The seat cutout's different and the color's a little different.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know.
And 86, 87, 125M trunk lids, always sun check
Really? No,
ahead of the fenders.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Anyway, that's what I've seen. What's the hardest machine to restore?
Yamahas,
Yeah.
because there's no parts for them. The old 200s that people love and the 225s, there's just no parts available. Um, the US 90s for me are getting hard. Obviously, the tires are unavailable. Mike does. That's why I quit even taking the US 90s because Mike has all the parts, and I let him do what he's really good at.
Yeah.
That's his baby, so I just refer everybody to him for those.
Hmm.
I bought a lot of fenders and parts off of him to do them, but it's like I always run down to one or two dumb parts that just hold up the whole build. So I don't care for them.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, a Tiger restoration would be tough if you're missing parts, but we don't get those too often anymore.
Yeah. What's the most fun machine to restore?
I love the 85, 86, 250Rs.
Yeah.
You could still find enough parts to make them completely original. I love the gold axles. I love the little bit of gold accent for the hardware. That's probably still my top. If I could
Yeah.
do those back to back all day long, I think that would be the one.
Yeah. What have you done the most of?
Probably those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably it. Yeah.
Do you keep track of how many machines have come through your shop? Do you have a number?
I
Restoration wise, not just
I wish
service.
I wish I'd had time. We had a really busy end of the week and a really busy Monday. I wanted to kind of compile those numbers.
I lost all audio. Did anybody else lose audio? Now I've lost
No,
video.
I'm sorry. Somebody call that to cancel it. Um,
Okay.
so I mean, give or take 50 restorations a year, just full restorations, 40 to 50 a year. I mean, the majority have been 250Rs. I guess the second majority would be Kawasaki Takatis. And then I've done a lot of big reds, 250 SXs, tons of 70s, um, probably 16 to 18 Tigers.
Yeah.
I mean, I could compile a list. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't think of anybody else besides Mike that's done probably as many of you as you two.
Yeah, I would probably say we've probably caught up with Mike numbers wise,
Yeah.
and it's because I have six guys here. I know
Yeah.
he's single-handedly doing them, so he's only going to be able to knock out so many a year. We only beat him, I think, in quantity because of the quantity of people I have here.
Right.
You know, but
And you've added to your quiver of abilities, like at one point I don't think you were polishing plastics, but now you've got at least a couple guys that are really good at that, and
right.
it's
Uh,
just neat to see.
back on day one, I'm almost embarrassed to see some of my original builds before we did the hardware plating.
Yeah.
We would tear down engines completely to do restorations. No fender polishing. I mean, we were a growing, learning company,
Yeah.
and I look back and I'm like, ugh, I did that. Yikes,
Yeah.
But how you learn. We were sending out hardware when we first learned about zinc. Had no clue what to do. We just sent out a batch of rusty hardware. We get back a batch of rusty, not rusty, but shiny junk.
Yeah.
And you learn how to polish every bolt, plate it, clean it out, sand it. It's a learning curve. We 9 years in and didn't learn it all yet.
Yeah. That's great. Have you had any weird custom restoration requests?
I actually we get those all the time. So I have this. Oh, my phone's gonna never stop. So we have this. It's an interesting situation because as you can see, it's a gas tank, but
Yeah.
it's not. So this phone call came to me the other day, and I thought you guys want to hear it. I had a customer call me and ask me questions about a tank liner, and I just coached him through how to do a tank liner. Then he says, "Well, it doesn't need to hold gas." I'm like, okay, what are you doing? A beer keg or Then he says, "It needs to hold ashes." I'm like, okay. Then he started talking to me. His dad had stage 4 cancer on his last days, and he said he was going to restore this gas tank for his dad's ashes to make an urn. I'm sorry about the phone.
That's all right.
So after talking to him for a little while, I told him, I said, send me the gas tank. Let me restore it for you. I'll do it for free. You pick the colors, and you know, let me do it right, because he was just going to rattle can it and do what he
Hmm.
could and do a liner, because it was full of pinholes. And I said, just send it over. It really touched my heart. Me and my wife were actually driving back from eating out one night, and when he called, had him on speaker, and she's like, "You're doing that? You're doing it for free?" I'm like, "I already was," you
Yep.
know. So thought that was cool. I just did my first coat of primer on it. I cut the fuel nipples off the bottom, brazed those, and the mother sent me a really nice letter. She wanted me to write some inscriptions on the bottom and stuff. I'm like, look, I don't do art. I said, I'll give you the tank. I'll send it back. I'll send you some stickers for the bottom if you want. I'll put my name on it, but I'm not an artist. I'm not going to write a beautiful poem,
Hmm.
but I'll make the tank beautiful. That way you can keep them with you. And you know, I thought that was really touching. That was the dad's idea of where he wanted to be, and his final
Yeah.
resting place was a US 90 gas tank as an urn. So,
That's very cool.
but it really touching when I thought it was fitting for this event.
Yeah. That's awesome. Did he say why his dad was in the 90s or?
Basically, they've been into three wheelers their whole lives, and that's pretty much just where his heart was. That's where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So, thought that
That's
was pretty.
awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That was really cool.
He's a follower. He's probably on Hoarders. I don't want to mention names, but if he
Yeah,
tries, maybe we'll talk about it after it's done.
sure. Anything other, maybe less sentimental, maybe more crazy?
Uh, Crazy? No, not really. Like little odd and end things, like Vinny's little Mercedes cart that he had. He had asked to do that. The logistics just never worked out.
Yeah.
I've got offered to do a ton of the coin operated trike machines, but that's just not my thing. I just like to stick to what we good at and what fits. My shop isn't huge, so you take something like that apart and they just take up so much room.
Oh, yeah.
So we try to just keep the gas tanks and trikes.
Yeah. And the Serwa gas tanks, are they selling well?
Yeah, we're doing really well with them. They're selling faster than I can paint them and decal them, so that's a good problem.
Yeah. What about, I don't know, I don't want to air all your business, but you bought a large quantity of them.
Mhm.
What percentage have sold of that quantity so far, would you say?
Maybe 10%, but
Yeah, okay.
we bought some huge quantities. So yeah,
So,
we're selling good. They're selling quick. It's a process. I got to take them
yeah.
from black primer, fine tune the body work, paint them,
Hmm.
decal, polish them. It's a process. But I have a guy who's also a best friend of mine from high school. He owned his own body shop, then got out of it, did his own thing now, and I drop him off tanks in primer or the factory primer, and he does the body work and puts them in finished primer. So
Hmm.
he's a help. I couldn't do it without him. He's
That's
knocking out
smart.
10 tanks a week for me, going from rough primer to final primer.
Super.
Yep.
Glenn Moulton says, let's do some tank giveaways. Calm down, Glenn. We'll get there. All right. All right. Favorite machine in your collection of the three blue Hondas you have?
My little
What?
seven.
Yep.
It's gonna stay on the wall for a long time. I'm actually building a C10 pickup truck to do car shows. That thing's going to ride around with me whenever I go
That's
to.
awesome. Tell us about your truck.
1966 Chevy short bed pickup truck. To anybody else, it's a normal truck. To me, it's my heart. This is my fifth or sixth C10 I build, and I've always been limited on budget and time and everything else. So this one, I decided I'm going to do it pretty much how I can, not rushing time, and how my budget allows to do all the things I wanted throughout.
Hmm. Was it have for a motor?
Um, 383 stroker supercharged. So this was my model I had made of my last C10 pickup truck. Thing was all spot on. I sold this truck to buy the building I'm sitting in today to do a down payment on it. So that truck helped me build D&A. Now D&A is going to help me build my new truck.
That's awesome. And it's beautiful. I'm watching it come together. And what's left to do?
Um, I had some suspension to get modified. And once that's back, I'm going to put the engine and transmission back on, roll it to my garage, and I'll wrap up the paint and body. Pretty much down to painting the cab, the front clip, and doing the electronics. So it looks like I'm far away, but I'm probably 3 to 4 months, 3 to 6 months maybe, because it's a busy time of year.
Hmm.
So
Super.
hopefully late summer, I'll be cruising this thing around 100%.
Where'd you learn to paint? Did you paint before this, or did you learn on the job?
No, I taught myself. I was friends with my two guys that own body shops, and I used to just pop in and out and just learn tips and tricks. I bought an old Jeep right when I got married, and it was terrible looking. So I scuffed it and I painted it. They came to my house and they're like, "What'd you do? That's terrible. Why'd you do it this way? Next time, hold it closer. Put your paint on." You know, I've learned a long time ago, the more you mess up paint jobs, the better you get because
Hmm.
paint's expensive. It's a very hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
So
Why is paint so expensive?
I don't know. I wish I did because my paint shop lives well off of just me, and I'm a small shop.
So, speaking of paint, there's a list of paints that match Honda colors and some other Yamaha colors. You are the origin of that list.
Yes, I
So,
am.
so there's probably half a dozen or more people in the comment section or watching this that have shared that list, and maybe they didn't know you were the
Yeah,
person behind it.
I originally compiled the list. So long story short, to get one color match, I got to do a 2 hour trip to my paint booth, my paint shop, do a color blend, come back, paint it, go back, have them blend it, come back, paint it, go back. It's a 3 or 4. It's a long ordeal. It's a time consuming, and I put a lot of effort into it. So originally, I didn't want to share my colors, and I did with a trusted friend. And next thing you know, he shared it, and it shared and shared, and it ended up public. So it is what it is now. I still have a couple blends that are kind of proprietary that I really don't want to give away, but I do to customers that if I do a gas tank for somebody and they want the color for their forks or different parts of the bikes, I'll share it, of course. But I mean, I make a lot of money just on gas tanks and paint blends
Hmm.
that I really don't want to give out all grandma's recipes,
Right?
you
Yeah.
know. And a lot of those have changed since that list has gone out that I've done better blends. But it is what it is now. I mean,
Yeah.
it all goes to the same hobby. So
Yeah.
I don't have many competitors in the gas tank industry. So it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Did you happen to see the Tim Keister interview?
I've seen bits and pieces of it.
Tim Keister is the person that put together the list of all the production models that goes around.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
So,
No kidding.
so he's the origin of that. So, anyway, we got some famous people, is what we're talking about.
Yep. No doubt.
List makers.
Couldn't do it without a lot of these guys.
What's your best Honda score or score in general?
Hmm. I've never really gotten lucky enough to go and hit like a barn find or anything wonderful, honestly. I've been
Yeah.
doing this a long time, and Probably my best was right at the beginning. I bought a 250R with a 310 kit and a 350X for $5,500, and
Mhm.
they were all mint. Had no idea what trikes were worth at the time. This was right when I got laid off. I started out, and I more than tripled my money at the time, which was I was getting 5, 6,000 a machine in 2016, and I thought that was astronomical. So that was a pretty good one. I've gotten a lot of little barn finds, a pile of 70s here and there, but I've never had the one grandma's driven 250 SX to the mailbox that I got for $100 or anything like that. So I
Mhm.
wish I did. I'm still looking. I know it's out there, and I'm ready.
Um, are you the reason that the prices of three wheelers are so high right now?
Absolutely. I do it on purpose. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's probably there's probably something to that. Like after the Scott Curdy sale, like if we trended before and then
Right.
after, like marketplace values. So
Yeah.
it's really good if you're holding a lot of three wheelers. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, different events definitely take part in that. I will say there's a trend and a curve. Whenever Binky and I started his collection, well, whenever I got involved with Binky's collection, Binky was buying every 1987 200X you could find. I'm sure you remember those days.
Mhm.
So at that point, 200Xs literally went from 12, $1,500 a piece to $10,000 over 2 years. Things like that. Yeah, he pulled everyone off the market. People knew he was going to pay for them. I think that definitely increased the value of those. Jason Wells and I in 2016, 17, and 18 started a Kawasaki Takati collection and have
Yeah.
probably bought and restored 20 to 25 of those. And I watched the prices you know, go significantly higher. But I truly think it's because one, we were buying $2,000 machines, fully restoring them and selling them for 8, 9. So people were seeing the 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9 when we were done, thinking that the $2,000 machines were worth
Right.
8. They didn't understand the process behind it, why the prices were what they were.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll definitely take a little bit of blame, but I don't think it's all.
Yeah. It's the rest of it is obviously Vinny Stappa.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
do you get out and ride much?
I don't. I wish I
You don't.
did. I cruised my little blue 110 around the house. I had a big red around the house for a while. I just don't have much place to ride. My subdivision is short streets. Everything's private around. So it's just to really get out and ride, I got to get in my truck and go an hour,
Right.
either direction to find somewhere to go ride public. And my kids are just graduating high school. I'm busy at work, and I just have other hobbies that I stay with.
And you mentioned Scott is probably going to take you out to Glamis.
Absolutely. I can't I definitely wanna jump into that trip.
It's life changing.
That's what I
It'll
hear.
Yeah. I almost cried when I
Really.
was riding.
Totally
Almost.
totally different than
Maybe
playing.
a little bit. You don't want to cry because then the sand will stick in your tears and then it's not good. But you've done a lot of deals like that where you've sold stuff on consignment. So if somebody does have a large collection and they want to have either anonymity or they don't want to deal with the people, you offer that as a service. So that's cool.
Yeah, and it gives a good middleman for the people that wanna buy but don't trust a random seller. They
Mhm.
know at least if I put my name on it, that they're going to get some sort of value there. That if the bike's bad or if it turns out to be a problem, at least I'm a middleman that can make it right. I
Mhm.
can't guarantee every single machine, but when problems happen that are unannounced, we make it right. I had to mediate a few problems with Scott's collection. Out of 95 bikes, you can have a few things,
Yeah.
and nothing intentional, but bikes that wouldn't start up. Carburetors that wouldn't stop dripping. We had one that had a transmission issue, and we worked through it and made the customer happy.
Mhm.
Um, I've probably done 8 to 10 consignment sales like that. Scott was by far the biggest.
Mhm.
The next largest was probably around 45 machines. So
Wow.
it was still up there.
Yeah. That's
That was the
awesome.
best though. seeing the crated machine. Did you ever put that thing together by chance?
Well, we're getting to it. I've got it all apart,
No,
and I had to spray paint, rattle can a couple things that, you
absolutely.
know, but it's coming there. It's
Yeah,
getting together.
good.
Uh, let's see what else. Riding. What about non ATV related pastimes? What do you do when you're not doing this?
Um, my wife and I own rental properties, so I'm usually working on houses a lot. I do enjoy that when it's a
Mhm.
scheduled maintenance. I don't enjoy unscheduled maintenance. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with floods and plumbing and broken stuff whenever it's not scheduled. But if I can schedule maintenance and do kitchen remodels and floor repairs, and I actually enjoy that a lot. Um, I have a boat that I used to love to take out, but the rental properties took over my time for that, and my son takes it out now. It's
Hmm.
a gator tail, which is like a mud motor boat.
Okay.
So those are fun. It's a beautiful area to ride around here. I'm surrounded by water and swamp and marsh, so it's definitely the right place to be to own a boat. In fact, everybody you know around here owns a boat.
Yeah.
So maybe one day I'll get back into that.
What's the best Cajun food that somebody from the Northeast doesn't even know about?
Uh, I think everybody knows about it, but nobody has tried really good crawfish. I
Uh
mean,
huh.
I am in crawfish country here, so people have tried crawfish and like, oh, that's gross. That have never tried Louisiana, Southern Louisiana crawfish.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. We're 20 minutes from the Gulf of America, so uh, seafood here is a must. That's what my town pretty much thrives on.
Yeah. So you, I don't want to talk out of ignorance, but I guess I'm gonna. So you can make gumbo and have crawfish and gumbo, but you can just have a boil with
Yeah,
crawfish or.
yeah, just a boil, just like you'd eat boiled crabs or anything
Mhm.
else. I mean, we put a lot of vegetables in it to make side like a side pot with crawfish, but yeah, it's a main dish.
Okay, man, we're gonna have to go down.
Absolutely.
Um, my wife was showing me. She's gonna laugh. She was showing me a video of a guy eating crawfish on Instagram the other night, and he
Yeah,
had a technique for it, and it looked really good. I
yeah, they're pretty simple. You break the. Do you eat shrimp?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, very simple, similar to breaking the head off a shrimp. You break
yeah,
the head, peel like two wraps off the tail, and then just pinch it, and you pop the meat in your mouth.
yeah,
But crawfish is so much more flavorful.
yeah. And she said, yeah, she commented, Jack, a very handsome man named Jack on Instagram. He was
Nice.
eating crawfish.
Yeah.
Very, very muscular. Anyway, let's see. I'm getting towards the end of the standard questions. I know sometimes we dip into the minutia questions. I know Kim Dwyer likes to know what everybody's spirit animal is. So, do you have a
Mm.
spirit animal?
I would have to say a dog. I've
Dog? Okay.
gravitated around dogs my whole life. I've always owned a dog at some point, so
Hmm.
I'd have to say a dog.
Any particular breed?
I got a Labrador Retriever, and that's pretty much the breed I've had for the last 15 years. I've had a Silver Lab before her. That was 13. She just passed last year, and I've had a White Lab and then another Chocolate Lab. So Labrador Retriever is probably my spirit animal.
Yeah, we've had a few of those. Like
Yep,
good loyal dog.
absolutely.
Do you eat pancakes or do you eat waffles?
I do both.
Yeah. Do you prefer one?
Probably pancakes.
Pancakes. All right.
Yeah,
Crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter?
creamy. Can't do the dry.
Creamy. No. Hmm. I don't want to get into all the stupid questions. If there's a stupid question I've asked in the past and you want to hear it, ask in the comments. But I think I'd like to open it up to all the people. We got 108 people watching this right now. So if you have a comment for Travis,
Da-
please
yeah, David LeBlanc just said Travis eats everything. That's my brother-in-law. He's absolutely right.
that's great. So I might you might ask a question and I'm going to start going down in order. So I might get behind on the list. Glenn, Curse of Oak Island. Do you think they're ever going to find treasure on Oak Island?
No,
No.
no,
Do you believe in Tricycle Guy's prototype story?
I do.
Okay. Have you seen it?
I've seen bits and pieces, a couple random photos of it.
Okay. I think when the pictures came out from Dendenhelm, I think is his name. He had pictures from like the 1981 or 1980 Honda dealer show, and it had all the decked out units. One was an ice racer, one was a sand dune.
Right.
And Jared found blue anodizing under his lip.
Really?
And that was a big smoking gun, I think, for anybody.
That's cool.
Do you do you still have beef with Mr. Twisted?
He is such a nobody at this point. It doesn't bother me at all. I
Yeah.
haven't heard from him. I haven't dealt with him. I haven't had him comment on anything in probably 2 years. So I don't go pick on him. He doesn't pick on me.
Yeah. The world's probably a better place.
I agree.
That's all right. Oh, I did see a question from Miles Serwa. Who is your favorite Serwa?
Definitely Miles.
Definitely Miles. I thought so.
He's the best builder in the family.
What's the most rare machine that you've restored?
So I have a good list of those. I guess numbers wise, I've done 5 of the 11 Tiger 500s, which is huge numbers.
Mhm.
11 being made, that's pretty big. I've done 2 of the Tiger Super 4 quads. That's pretty huge. I did one R3, which is the 86 Tiger, the last of the 250 trikes that Robert Burton started, or Bob Burton, and we wrapped that one up here. That's a low production, and I've done 2 Kajivas. So I've got to touch a lot of the big name rare ones. I've
Mhm.
had Franks come through here from Matt that I did a final assembly on that I'm trying to think of his name, the guy that had the huge tiger collection up in the Northeast. I'm drawing a blank, but he
Yep.
started it and never rode it, never finished it. These guys are scared to put chains on it for some reason, so it never had a chain. So it came here, just torqued down a few things, did a proper startup, and got that Franks running. That was pretty cool. That was a
Yeah.
totally different one. So we've touched some pretty rare, pretty pretty oddball rare stuff. I
So
probably
Franks were Australian,
I believe the Franks were an Australian blend of a Honda Trike, if I understand the
yeah.
history correctly.
And they weren't the gas tanks first gen 250R gas tanks.
A lot of the ports were, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's just a
Um.
really modded first gen, is what it
Okay.
essentially is.
And Kajivas are Italian.
Yep, those were a dirt bike converted by Tricky Dicks into trikes. I think they made 70 or so of those. That was a fast little for a 200cc. Those things were really quick.
Yeah. Now, where was Tricky Dick's located?
I'm pretty sure that was just a West Coast company, probably California.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that one, but I believe that was a West Coast company.
So Kajiva didn't make three wheelers.
No,
Tricky Dicks bought Kajiva dirt bikes and converted them.
correct. They made a different
Uh-huh.
subframe, different swing arm. I think they badged them a little different and called them a Kajiva trike.
Yeah. So it's like an early
Yeah.
conversion
Yeah.
company.
And
How
what's
about that?
crazy, I learned a little bit of history on Kajiva. The guy, the company that made it, the Kajiva, was the man's first 3 initials of his name, like first name, middle name, last name, and that's what
Huh.
made Kajiva. If you open up a Kajiva or look at one up close, everything is stamped Kajiva. I'm talking
Yeah.
the crankshaft, the connecting rod, the piston, some counter sprockets, shift shaft, brake lever. Like he was super proud of his brand, and it is
Yeah.
on everything. I loved it.
Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah.
uh, The Franks, did they had KTM motors?
Um, I think I'd be lying to you if I said that was 8 years ago, 6 years ago, and I don't remember
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Lie to you and say yes. I believe
Yeah.
so. I believe they were, but I'm not gonna. Matt can maybe chime in. He has one.
Oh, I've lost track of the
Rotax.
comments.
Matt just commented Rotax, so
Okay.
similar
All right.
engine to the Tigers.
So Pat Wells, Southeast Vintage Cycle Rescue. I bought one of your first painted 250 SX Serwa tanks. Mint and thanks. So
Awesome. Thank you for your business.
Glenn Moulton says, "Where's the best meat?" I don't know what meat we're talking about. So I don't know if that's on a crawfish or what. Uh, do you believe in aliens?
No,
No. Okay.
no.
Oh, Miles, we answered the Serwa question. So here you go. Best meatball sub. Where's the best meatball sub?
I don't know. All we have options around here is Subway, and that ain't it.
Yeah. Might you be able to make it to my event this August in New York?
August is definitely promising. My daughter will be
Okay.
done in college, and that is a hopeful yes.
Yeah. So
Trike
you'll get to
Fest,
see
yeah,
you'll see the crated. Oh, go ahead. You.
Trike Fest is going to be tough because we're going on a senior cruise trip with my daughter. I'm going to have 3 or 4 days, then Trike Fest starts, so I don't know if that one's going to work out. But August is pretty clear for us.
Okay. Super. You'd see the crated 250R again.
Yep.
You'll see the prototype 250R,
Also,
and who knows what else.
so the crated 250R is going to make its debut there.
So it made its debut 2 weekends ago at our local dealership had an event. So it showed up there unexpectedly. But
Fantastic.
yep. But it wasn't displayed, so some people walked right by it and didn't even
Right.
see it was there. So we're gonna get velvet ropes and
Right.
do special lighting, mood lighting.
Absolutely.
Are D&A restoration shirts available?
I'm about due to make an order. I'll probably have some available in a month or two. I'll,
Okay.
I usually give a lot to my customers and sell just a handful. Maybe this time I'll order 100 and sell them off cheap on my site.
Where do I find dampers for an 83 Big Red? First gen Big Red fork rebuilds. Anything out there for that right now?
No,
No.
I don't mess with too many of the first gens. Anytime I did, I've just bought good used sets off of eBay if I found them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. That's my buddy Bob. He's asking. Uh, will we see a video collab with you and Greg Jr.?
uh, I highly doubt that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've lost track of who Greg likes and who he doesn't like, so I
yeah,
don't know what list.
Greg won't be my friend anymore for some reason.
Okay. I never did anything to Greg, but I've noticed some backlash, and I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
collateral damage."
yeah, it happens to the best ones sometimes.
ETA on the Pro-Am tires.
Matt is doing the final. So these tires are a very specific round to them. And if they don't have that round, kind of like the 350X and the 250SX, they don't look right. So we're
Right.
trying to get them to perfect that round at the correct PSI, which we had the same process with some of our others. So I think we're at the final stages of getting the shape correct.
Yeah.
And from there, it's about a 4 month process to get them built, shipped, and in my hands.
Hmm.
So maybe late this year. I mean, we're already April. I'm thinking this winter we'll have them.
Okay. That's great. Matt says he's back in jail. I don't know who we're talking about. Uh, prototype. Any Husky tires? What does that mean, Greg? What do you mean by Husky tires? Tristan Allman. Oh, Tristan, never mind. That's not a question. Let's see. Got some trolls in here. Do you think the 87 250R exists? ATC 250R.
No, I don't think it ever made it past the brochures.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, Binky and I had put a reward on one back in 2016 to try to find a frame,
Yeah,
and I don't remember the dollar amount, but we put it up there pretty high, and nobody came through with a picture of a VIN, a frame, anything besides my buddy's uncle had one. That
yeah.
was the whole story, and that never could never find one.
So Mike Palmgren showed me. It wasn't the owner's manual and it wasn't the service manual, but it was a manual that had a lot of like all the part numbers listed. So I
Okay.
don't know what you call that, but it had 86, 85, 86, 87, and you could see all the parts like mm, the airbox tube had an extra port on it, and there was like some different things unique to what the 87 parts would have had. So
I absolutely believe it was gonna happen, but
yeah,
I think the downfall of trikes and the ban on importing them just completely killed it with Honda. But they probably had big dreams for it because I mean, anytime they release a model, they already know what they're doing 2 years ahead of now.
right,
And 85 had so many changes from 86, probably in the beginning of 86 or late 85 they already had plans for what 87 was going to be, so all this literature probably made it out, and then
yeah,
production just got stopped and never made it to the country. you
yeah,
know I would love, like, have you seen the prototypes of what the big reds and stuff would look like today, like the AI generated pictures?
yeah, yeah,
I would love to see what trikes would look like nowadays. I mean, to me,
yeah,
that's super cool. That AI generated picture was just awesome.
yeah. Um, and plus, tricycle guy Jared, all his research and proving the prototype. He's done some highly scrutinized reviews of the literature, and you can see some of what's pictured isn't what came out.
Right.
Even though it's the literature,
Right.
like in the 87 brochure, the 87 SX has a red headlight bezel, and we all know it had a white headlight bezel.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. These guys are doing these things probably 2, 3 years in advance. They're already dreaming up what's next, and last minute they go, yeah, that's ugly. Change it.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
boss walks in a room and goes, nope, don't like it, pull it. You know.
yeah.
So yeah, it would be awesome to see what a 250R liquid cooled would have looked like with 5, 6 more years of technology on it.
hmm Cajun Cycle Restorations wants to know what you know about high performance frames.
I don't do much aftermarket and I don't do much high performance. I mean, we do some 310 and 330 builds. I got a really cool Takati here with a 295, but we mostly stock frame stuff here. So that's just not my forte.
Okay. Do you own any Mako three wheelers? Ever done any restorations on Mako three wheelers?
No, but I had one that I sold to Binky. The brand was a Hustler, and it was like a sister bike of the Mako. It was this lime green fiberglass body. I think it had like a 6.5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton style engine. I picked it up for like $200, got it running, cleaned it up, painted the wheels, and sold it to Binky for like 6 or 7. And he stuck it in his museum for a little while.
Yeah.
So they had a company down here. It wasn't Mako, but it was one of the off brands. It was right up North Louisiana. They actually built them in the state. I'm
hmm
not give the name of it, but they were very popular down here. The very weird off brands.
Yeah. Have you ever done a restoration on a 200R?
No, I've seen a lot of pictures. I know a couple people that have them, but never had one in the shop.
Yeah. So you could buy a jug that was deboard, right?
Yes,
Okay. Because I had one. I had a 200, but I don't think it was anything from Honda.
right.
Um,
Original
that thing
rate.
was fast. It was quick.
Yeah, yeah. They get snappy to little bore like that.
Yeah.
Um, Same thing with the Kajivas and the what was the other one around here? Anyways, I had another 200cc that was just stupid snappy. The Tiger.
Yeah.
I did a
Yep.
little the Tiger 125. That thing was so snappy and just quick. Like I was really dumbfounded. I'd bet
Wow.
money that 125 wasn't far from the 250 in speed.
Yeah. The one that Toby has, did you do the work on that?
Uh, I don't remember. I don't remember which one he has. I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay. He had it at the show that I was just talking about,
Oh,
but neither here nor there.
yeah. If I seen some pictures, I'd recognize them. I know they're kind of my babies once they leave the shop.
Yeah. When will you start a full-time vlog?
Never.
Never. I think that's your buddy asking.
This is more talking than I do on a normal weekly basis.
Uh, let's see. Any 200X tanks in the works?
Matt and I discussed it. So, as you know, the 200X and the 350X have the tank shrouds. That puts a whole different level of complexity on building gas tanks.
Yeah.
So, wanted to see how the 350X, I'm sorry, the 250 Big Red and 250SX is sold and the quality and the fit. And maybe once we get through maybe 20, 30, 40% sold and recoup some funds for that, we possibly going to jump into 200X and 350X next.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
it's obviously it's a big undertaking. We kind of got to put them out there, recoup some money, put it into the next thing. And I mean, I don't think to this day Matt's made a single penny of profit. He's constantly reinvesting to keep Serwa brand growing.
Hmm.
So I'm making a little bit here and there, but he's constantly reinvesting to just keep it going. So
Yeah.
thinking they will.
Um, so we got to buy more 250SX and 250ES tanks is what we need to do.
Absolutely.
That's how we can help. Okay,
Look,
good.
you could hang them on the wall. I could do one of each color and
Yeah,
years, and we make it fun.
I like that. Um, yeah, so Tricycle Guy is offering a spin on the prototype if you come to my event.
Okay.
Chris Fredmonsky is suggesting first gen Big Red repop tanks.
I think that would be
So
get a lot of requests for those, and I think it covers a broad spectrum of models, from what I
yeah,
understand.
200M. I think the 200E, 200ES, 200M
Pretty much almost
is
like every 200, from what I understand, right?
I
Maybe.
think they're I think they're a little bit different than the 200S.
Okay.
Uh, I can double check that for you.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you and I could talk one day because you got the knowledge of that. Because I was
Yep.
curious about that, and the early 110s. I think maybe be one we spin off later on.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, because those will cover 90s too.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Trying to cover what goes over the most models.
Yep.
Why we like the Pro-Ams as the next Serwa tire.
Let's see. Questions. I'm know I'm behind, so I'm catching up. There are some trolls in the comments I'm seeing. Uh, Greg Monmany is complimenting you guys on the tire reproductions. Just the fact that you went to the extent of doing the 250R front and the 350X front, which is only half an inch bigger,
Right.
that says a lot.
Yeah, that one took a lot of arm twisting on Matt because he couldn't he didn't grasp why we need to spend $15,000 on a mold to gain a half an inch.
Yeah.
So that was an arm twister. I got my way, and they're a good seller, so I think he
Yeah.
understands now. But it makes a difference.
So, all right, Greg clarifies this question from before. Have you worked on any Husqvarna three wheelers?
No, never seen one in observe it, but I've seen them in photos. Seen one in person
Yeah.
within arm's reach.
There was one at Trike Fest a couple years ago. I don't know if it was homemade or something else, but
And that's what's
Okay.
tough. You don't know what was original and what was a later modification or
Yeah.
creation. Say,
Tricycle guy says I was looking at the parts manual with that 87 250R. So, uh, let's see. Any future plans on ACC tanks? We've talked about that. Uh, any other Serwa tires being planned for the future
not
beyond the?
discussed. We have none in the making besides the pro-ams at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. You're covering a lot of bases.
We are covering a lot of ground. We have 11 different tires out, and yeah, I don't know what would be the big seller next. We've talked about Yamaha Tri Z's. We've talked about the Kawasaki Takati, but those are so low production numbers. I don't know. Let
Mm.
me ask your opinion. With the pro-ams, I know they came in what, 22-inch and 24-inch. Is that correct?
20, 25-inch. The 200Ms had them,
Okay.
and the 83 ATC 200 had that same
So
tire. So it's
you
only three
think,
machines.
you think that'd be worth doing a mold to do a 25-inch, or probably not because of the production numbers?
Probably more guys would be looking for like the 200 big red kind of chevron pattern.
Right.
They're similar. I'm surprised that they're even different tires that they,
I know. They had so many different styles.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what's tough. Like, what covers the most models? Like I know 84 Big Red was one of the most mass-produced Honda trike ever, but who's buying OEM Big Red parts and tires? Nobody, it seems. So I don't know. It's like the production numbers don't always mean sales numbers. So you got to kind of weigh and figure it out.
Yep. Okay. How did you meet Binky? That's a good question.
I like this story. So got laid off in March. I was buying and selling trikes and quads and anything cool I'd find. I found my very first Kawasaki Takati four wheeler. Couldn't sell it, couldn't give it away. Nobody wanted the thing. I was like 2,500 bucks, and it was super nice. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm gonna throw it on eBay. So I put it on eBay, and Mr. Tapscott buys it, and I get paid instantly. Boom, I get PayPal right away. A week goes by, nothing. 2 weeks goes by, nothing. 3 weeks goes by, nothing. So I get logged back on eBay, and I found his phone number through our sale. So I call him. I said, "Sir, are you planning on picking up this machine any point soon? Is there anything you want to know about it? Do you own any quads?" I'm just nice, casual conversation. So we talk a little bit, and he's like, "Can I send you a picture?" I'm like, "Sure." He says, I'm gonna send you a picture. So he sends me the original picture that was floating around with his building, and all the bikes were lined up in the front and on the side, the aerial view.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy moly, you got a nice collection. He's like, yeah, I'm starting to collect a few. And then we got to talking, and I just casually told him, I said, look, I said, I am starting a restoration company. I said, I'm going to do trike restorations. And, my experience is in trucks and cars, but I know enough to do. And Jason Wells and I had done a few trikes by then. I said, if you need anything done, just give me a call, expecting that to be the last of our conversation. So 2 weeks later, he sent somebody pick up the Takati, and he calls me. He says, "Hey, can you find me a 87 200X?" I'm like, "What is that? Never seen one in my life." You know, he's like, they exist. Find me one and you can restore it. So that became my mission. I said, "What's our budget?" He says, "I don't have one." He said, "I want one and I want it restored." I said, "Okay, I can do that." Found one in Nevada, shipped it in. First time I ever shipped a trike in my life. Scared to death. Didn't have a bunch of money. $2,000 ship, sitting out there in Never Land. Didn't know if it was going to show up. Bike shows up. We restore it. Put Meyer fenders. Painted the tank. Did the best I could with what I knew was out there. I sent it to him. He calls me, says, "Travis, I got it. I love it. Find me another one." So I'm like, two of them of the same machine? He's like, "Sure." So I did. Found another one, restored it, sent it to him. He's, "Travis, I got it. I love it. Find me another one." I'm like, Mr. Binky, I said, how many of these do you want to own? His answer was every one of them. I'm like, let's please tell me what's going. He's like, they made 3,500 of them. He said, I figure there's probably 1,000 left, and I want to own every one. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
I really thought he was joking, but he gave me a little bit of money. He's like, here's X amount of dollars. Start buying them and finding every one you can. At one point in my shop, I think I had 8 or 9 of them for him that we were restoring all at once. Then I probably restored a dozen. I've probably consigned another half dozen, and I think he found another 15 or so. We got to about 30, 35, and it pretty much hit a wall. We couldn't find any more. So he's like, okay, I guess we're done. I have enough. Then we started moving on to other models, and I've restored maybe another 10, 12, 15 models for him over the years.
Mhm.
So met him in person 3 times now. Been to his house before the museum was built. Been to it since the day we met up,
Yeah,
and we hung out at Pine Lake as well. So just all around good people.
that's awesome.
He was definitely a huge jump start for me with D&A Restorations, because once people seen you restore for Binky Tapscott, you knew you did some kind of quality and you did something, to
Mhm.
run a business, and that helped open doors for other people that would see his name tied to my work.
Yeah. So you knew Jason Wells before Binky.
Yep. I got a funny story about Jason too, if you got
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
video.
A lot of people might not know Jason, but it seems like he cycles through things.
He does.
So like you said, the Ducatis, and then he was on a Tiger Kick, and
Jason is all about the hunt. He is just like me. 2 months of seeing the same machine, he is bored. He is over. So Jason and I have been through Ducatis. Then we went through 250Rs. Then we went through Yamaha Tri-Zs. We went through a Banshee kick. We went through TRX 250R kick. Um, I mean, we've been through them all. Jason and I have probably, we were talking about this earlier. He has been buying and selling with me since the beginning, and we've probably gone through about 12 to 1,400 machines together. So huge numbers of machines we've rehabbed and put back on the market.
wow.
But yeah, I met him by sheer accident as well. I sold a machine to a neighbor of his on eBay. I personally
Mhm.
delivered it to Houston, Texas, met the guy, shook his hand, dropped off the bike. He goes check his mail one day. Jason passes by and sees this guy on a brand new 250R. He's like, "Where'd you get that?" He's like, "Oh, this coon ass in Louisiana sold it to me." So Jason got a hold of me. He says, "Hey, find me a 350X and a 250R." I said, "Okay." I don't know where I'm going to find one, but okay. He didn't care what year, what color. He just wanted a liquid R and a 350X. So I found one, dumped pretty much all the money I had available at the time into them, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, my wife don't want me to get them. I'll cancel them." I'm like, "Dude, I already got them in my house. I got them. Like, I'm gonna come bring them to you myself." He's like, "Ah, my wife don't want them." I'm like, "No, that's not gonna work for me." I said, "Tell your wife to hand over the purse, and I'm bringing you bikes." So a day goes by. He calls me. He's like, "You're right. You're right. I told you to buy them. You bought them. Bring them." So we met, became really good friends. We talk every day. And like I said, we've done 12, 1,400 machines from that since then, all
Yeah.
the Tigers, and just he's great at finding things. Like, he is the perfect guy. He's a good detective.
Yeah.
If you tell him tomorrow you want an 88 Big Red, he'll find you one. He
Yeah.
actually helped Binky find the two from Australia. Long
Yeah.
and short story, he helped put the links together to help Binky get the.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, he's a great detective. If you want to buy anything, tell Jason you need it and he'll find it.
So I've been scrolling comments while you were talking.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought he said, "What's yours?" This guy's asking Roger Wayne Patterson, what's a Banshee tracks kit worth? Turns your Banshee into a snowmobile. You ever seen such a thing down there in Louisiana?
No, we've gotten snow like one time in the last 42 years, and it was this January. So we don't do much snow toys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of commentary. If you have questions, I've got to be close to the bottom of this list. So if there's nothing else, we might be close to wrapping up. 2018.
Cam asks if we can find Allison a kitchen table. I could probably help with that.
Do you know the dining room table story that's going on?
I've seen parts of it, yes.
Okay. My buddy Jeff sold me wood to make a dining room table. You know, when we moved into the house we're in now, I had aspirations to make this dining room table, and then I went completely three-wheeler drunk,
Right.
and I've gotten close to doing it. I've worked on it, and then I'm not going to turn the camera around so you can see what's going on in here. It's not pretty, but yeah, I got wood in the other room that's
I completely
sitting.
understand it.
So Torque Yorks, I follow him on YouTube. He's cool. He's down in Texas. He's got a couple of the four-wheeled 200Xs.
Yep.
He's asking what's the rarest thing that's been through your shop. You've mentioned, most of them. So if you've missed that, go back and watch it. But he says maybe something you haven't shared publicly. Is there anything you're hiding from us, Travis?
No, I'm not very secretive. I'll do Facebook reels of builds,
Yeah.
and I try to keep it public. I used to be on YouTube a lot, but that just is so time consuming to keep up with. I kind of gave up on YouTube. Really, nothing top secret around here anymore. Usually, the only time I keep them secret is when I have a Tiger or Cajiva or something, just because of the value. But nothing at the moment, just some standard builds. Be glad to do a walk around if you want to see the messy shop in its current state.
Sure. Why don't we do that, and then we'll wrap things up.
Okay. I guess, do I turn the camera and walk it facing forward? Give me 1 second with this. Let's see how this works.
There you go.
All right. Too slow, fast. I'll keep it kind of slow. So this is also part of my three-wheeler collection. My little baby Lego right here, the little motorized, and one of those. I'm sure you've seen 100 of them.
Yep.
So here's some restored gas tanks. After I paint, I usually let tanks sit for 3 to 4 days to let the paint cure,
Mm-hmm.
and I do it on these hooks. I usually have a ATC 70 lineup, but we've been selling faster than I could keep up. So I let them cure before I, color sand and decal. Some 3D parts, just some regular retail stuff. I have my little collection of, sorry, reflection's probably going to kill it, but our first Serwa tank, some brochures and manuals, a couple cool things that I've acquired through the years, just different stuff. Picture wall. This was of my previous shop, just all kind of different builds. I'm going to touch on this one. That is my lead mechanic and best man that is still with me to this day. My wife back in the day. Um, I have That's my actual 250SX that I grew up on. He was sitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool stuff. This was that ugly Jeep I painted, first paint job. So there's some neat stuff that's near and dear to me. This was a gift from Jason Ardwin. He gave me the gear. Um, my baby on the wall, Serwa Tires logo, some shirts we had made that I really need to produce because I like them. Thought they were
Mm-hmm.
cool. This 70 was a one owner titled. I have all the paperwork for it. I have a load of paperwork. It's awesome. Tiger stuff on the wall, all the pictures. Um, just some in and out machines, some here for restoration, some here for cleanup. That is our Serwa tires. That's all of our lineup there. No, I don't have the 350X in that pile, but that lineup with the 350X front and rear. And then just a multitude of projects ongoing, fenders that are going to be saved that probably shouldn't be. Another Christmas 70. Got some cool Takati builds. This
Yeah.
one is for sale. This one we're just doing some work on. Old 300 4 tracks. Different knick-knack stuff. And Cool pilot, and this is kind of our overflow. We used to have that wall. I probably had 120 tanks on that wall at one point, but I got to the point I can't even keep up with restoring my own stuff, so I gave up on that. But that's about it. Shop's a mess right now. I was gonna do some more housekeeping, but just a busy week, like I said. That's a cool one, a
What-
little Yamaha. Forgot what it is, NSR,
Yeah.
YSR 80. Those are pretty neat. But
What do you lift with the big boom that's on the one wall?
say again? Oh, I have three of those.
Oh wow.
So when I bought the building, I had three of these made. So this one here is my mechanic station. He lifts everything. I mean, this thing could pick up a whole side by side. It's super duper heavy duty. I mean, you can see it's huge I beam. I
Yeah.
have one in the back corner. So pretty much it makes life easy. I got a winch on each one of them. If you want to just do a quick fork swap, you could chain the neck of the frame, lift it up rather than having three jacks and jack
Right.
stands and whatever. This one gets used the most because my guy's always doing suspension work, brakes, bearings, ball joints, stuff like that. So you just lift the machine, throw some jack stands under it, and go to town. Uh, I mean, this was something that I dreamed of whenever I started here. It's all bearings and seals, so I pretty much stock every bearing and seal that pretty much any Honda needs, and it's organized by size. That is something that
Are you getting another phone call? We can't hear you anymore. Uh-oh. Travis, come back. I guess we'll just wait. 128 people here. I'm close to the end of the questions. Hopefully Travis comes back. I'm looking at a question from Two Stroke Tripod. And then we'll. Oh, are you back?
sorry, I had a phone kill my
Oh, no
connection.
problem.
All right, so
But
yeah, that's pretty much the whole shop in a nutshell.
that was great.
Like I said, it's a mess. I got a paint booth out back. There's nothing exciting about it. If anybody follows my Facebook, they've already seen the inside of it.
Mm.
Um, I have a big tire shop with tons of tires down the road. Um, that's about it. That's pretty much D&A and Serwa in a nutshell.
Couple last minute questions. What's the hardest part to find for a liquid R?
Gold wheels.
Gold wheels.
Yeah.
Have you figured out what Honda used? Can we reproduce them on regular aluminum?
No, I haven't, and I've heard stories that it was like cancer causing, and they quit using this certain chemical in the
Hmm.
anodizing process. That's why nobody can reproduce it. I've seen
Hmm.
a set of wheels recently from Woody with OMF that were really, really, really spot on the color. So I need to have
Wow.
that conversation with him because DWT makes a couple and the gold's just not right. But I've seen Woody get the color spot on. Matt has worked on getting some wheels repaired and polished and attempted it, but the gold wasn't quite there. So we never proceeded with that. But gold wheels would be,
Hmm.
if we could put those out and have the right lip bends and the right look, I think that would be a really big
Hmm.
one.
That's cool. Is there an ATC you haven't restored but you'd like to?
Actually, kinda the blue 110.
Yeah.
I have in the tire shop waiting. That's going to get restored probably later this year. I think that'll be a neat one. This is kind of quirky and I like it, so that'll be a neat one. Besides that, we've restored just about every other make and model.
You're getting lots of Kim Dwyer likes the organization. She should be watching Oak Island right now. We're interfering with her Oak Island. Uh, Daryl Phillips got an 85 Tri Z from you, and he said it was fantastic work. People's phone batteries are failing, so I think it's time to wrap it up. Oh, yeah. You didn't show us your giraffe skin carpet.
I keep it out in my mansion out back. I don't have time. Too far of a walk.
That's funny. All right. Kim Dwyer says it's gold die number 5
That'd be a good.
for the rims.
We'll have to figure
Oh,
that. Matt
she
and I.
says there's still time for her to find out. They didn't find out anything on the island. So,
Yeah.
what were you saying?
Maybe next episode.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, that's all I've got. I think we went through everything. You showed us everything, and it's all amazing. We appreciate you, Matt, everything you bring to the community and all of us people that are needy for tires and grab bars and gas tanks and all of that.
Yeah. Well, I haven't mentioned the website yet, so
Yes,
if
please.
you're wondering, we have 2 websites we operate daily: serwatires.com and da-restorations.com. So if anybody needs anything, I ship daily. As I get orders, they go out every day. Gas tanks are the only thing we're running a little behind. We're about a week to 2 behind, but we're keeping up consistently. I just haven't caught up completely yet from the initial day 1 orders. So if you order those, there is a little wait, but everything else goes out every day.
Okay. And I'll redo the description for this video since we had to restart, and I'll put all those links into the description so you can find them there. But thank you very much, Travis, for spending some time with us. And I think this
It
was
was
great.
fun.
I enjoyed the stories.
Appreciate it.
All right. And thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't checked out Travis's Instagram and TikTok and follow him on Facebook and all the things, do that. And then, this old trike also. So, all right. Have a great night, Travis. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Bye.